I just saw Blue Beetle, and this might be the movie that saves DC. Welcome back to Subtle. I'm Ahmed, and I think it's pretty safe to say that DC is in a pretty tight spot right now. But they got a new movie coming out that I feel has not been promoted or advertised at all, which is Blue Beetle. Now, when I look at the promotion for The Flash, that was advertised everywhere. There was a lot of trailers, banners everywhere. But Blue Beetle, I have seen nothing for, and it is coming out in 2 days. Now, I saw it 2 days before this video comes out, I believe. And the film's coming out this weekend. And even though there have been quite a few screenings worldwide, even some last month, I've seen next to no reactions for this. I've seen a few positive ones, but it doesn't seem like there's been a lot of interest from the influencers and the press for this. It doesn't seem that Warner's really interested in promoting this either, but I feel that that's a shame because even though there's a lot of recent comic book movies that I've enjoyed, I've just enjoyed them. And I feel that a lot of people feel this way as well. And this doesn't just extend to comic book movies. I mean, it doesn't extend just to DC. I mean, it's same with Marvel recently. Same with just other action movies. Like I heard the same issue with Fast X, even though I haven't seen it. But a lot of action movies as well it applies to. It's that even though they're enjoyable, they're just generic. They're just punch up. There's no substance. There's no soul behind them. Like Shazam 2, like Black Adam. But Blue Beetle, it's weird because the story-wise, very formulaic, but unlike all those other ones, it feels like there is a lot of care, there's a lot of soul behind this. And I like to compare this to something like Black Adam, which has a lot of the same family elements in it. The stories are very similar, but Blue Beetle, there's no comparison. I mean, I can feel emotion. I did have that swelling in the throat, just before you cry, I did feel the emotion get to me because Blue Beetle, unlike a lot of other comic book movies, it has stakes. It takes risks. I don't even know what universe this takes place in because no one knows. Like, it was made to be in the DCEU, but then James Gunn said, oh yeah, it's gonna be our first character in the DCU, and he told Solo, oh, if it does well, this will be in the DCU. This movie does not take place in any universe. There's no references, unlike any headlines you've seen. I saw headlines saying, this references Man of Steel. It really does not. It doesn't reference anything. I think maybe it was on a directorial level because there were some things like the Snyder zoom in, zoom out. There's just very surface level references, and there's two. There's one that says, oh, that's like Superman, and then there's one like, oh, you got Superman in Metropolis, Flash in Central City. That's it. No more references. So I do feel like they should have incorporated this into the DCU. And maybe they would have had to delay it a bit because there's still quite a big layoff between now and when the DCU starts. But I feel you could have tweaked it slightly, made it a bit more mature, and then it could have been the Iron Man to the DCU. I feel like they should have done that, but I think James Gunn and Peter Safran, they maybe have cold feet about how these other movies are going to be received. So I think they didn't want to take that risk. But I think that they should have, because this movie sets up a sequel, but they're sort of very clear that they don't want to bring the canon into it. When I would like to see the Blue Beetle sequel in the DCU. And I think that if this movie is received well, which I think it will be, maybe that there will be a chance of that. But on all accounts, it doesn't look like a lot of people are going to see this because it hasn't been promoted at all. And that's a real shame because in the last couple years, I have been so disappointed with all this comic book action content. But this, as I said, it has a formulaic story, but there is so much soul and care behind this movie. I feel it's quite... I mean, okay, a lot of people say Phase 4 Marvel is nothing like Phases 1 to 3. And I agree. But Phases 1 to 3, a lot of the time were formulaic story-wise, but they had that care. They had that emotion behind it. It didn't feel like it was coming out of a factory. It felt, okay, they're being a bit safe with the story, but I can feel the directors and the writers putting their passion into this, and the actors as well. And this is the same with Blue Beetle. I feel like this is a phase 2 Marvel movie. It transports me back to that 2013 to 2016 era. And I just really wish that a lot more people would give this movie a chance. And I hope that people do, because there's not a lot of comic book content coming out. But I feel Blue Beetle really is a movie that could have shown, but it's following the lack of creativity from Black Adam, Shazam 2. But I thoroughly enjoyed Blue Beetle. I'm going to see it again. I really want this movie to do well, because I want to see a sequel. I just want to see it do well, because this is a step forward that the studios need to see. We appreciate. They need to see the money come in for these, because the last few DC movies have been flops and they've not been great. This one is a step in the right direction, and I hope that financially they see that these more creative movies, soul-filled, more care put in movies are good, and we want, and they make more of it. I think the best way to know that this is good is that this was originally made to be a streaming service movie. It was strictly for HBO, but then the producers looked at it, they said, you know what, no, this is good. Let's put this theatrically. Here's a bit more money. Film this in IMAX. You get to do bigger action sequences, and it fully deserves it. Now, it's not the story-wise, it's not the most creative. I mean, it is the Marvel formula for the origin stories of, you have the superhero with the specific power suit, and then the villain with the same power suit, and they fight. But between that, there is a whole family subplot. There is real emotion there. There are real stakes. And I'm not going to spoil anything, but there are things you could spoil about this movie, and they're not references or teaming up with other people. There's nothing like that. It's just the story of this film itself does not play it safe. And surprisingly, this was a lot more mature than I expected. When I saw Blue Beetle, all the trailers, the posters, I thought it was going to be a goofy kids movie. It looked like a Power Rangers movie from the trailers. It really isn't. It is pretty darn mature for a comic book movie. Other than one scene. There is one scene in this movie. It's a few seconds, but there's just one thing that happens in this movie for no reason at all that is so goofy, so childish. I wish that they deleted it. I wish that in the 2 days before this releases, I wish they cut it out, because there's no need for it. It goes on for way too long and you feel it. But other than that one goofy thing, the movie is pretty mature. And here's the thing, even though the story is not creative, where they are creative are things like the action scenes. I mean, I think there's a couple of one-shot action sequences which are really cool, because Blue Beetle, obviously, he's got these CGI, make whatever you can imagine, sort of Green Lantern powers, and they incorporate that into the one-shot scenes, which is so cool. And I want to see a breakdown of how they did that, because that just genius. Acting wise, you will love every single cast member in this movie. They sell the emotion so well, so well. You actually feel like part of the family, and when they're upset, you feel it. And I think even the humor as well is sold. And here's the thing, with even sort of phase 3, definitely phase 4 Marvel, the jokes are quite unnatural, and it's plagued DC recently as well. But this one, there's none of that. I feel that there's a couple of jokes. There's a few jokes, but they're pretty sparse. And I don't even remember any of them, but I feel personally that they're quite natural. I feel that the jokes they make are the sort of jokes that would happen if this were real life. So I do appreciate that. I was never, ever pulled out. I was never, ever like, ugh, that was such a corny joke. But yeah, as I said, there was that one goofy scene, which wasn't a joke. It was just a stupid scene. Spy Kids-esque. Like, it was so childish. But that is my one gripe, that there were 5 seconds of this movie that I did not like. But other than that, I really loved everything about this, and I'm going to go see this again in IMAX. I saw this just on a regular screen. I think if you got good quality screen and good sound. I think that's enough, but I do want to see what this is like on the IMAX screen, as it was filmed for IMAX. I recommend you go see this in the cinema, the movie theaters, and you support these kind of movies with your wallet, because this is definitely a step in the right direction towards what we used to have, where we had movies that were made when, you know, a director said, I want to make this movie. I have such emotion and passion for this, and I want to really put that forward to the audience, and you feel it. You feel it. So if you are a comic book movie fan, however you felt about the recent content, please go see this. If you're, you know, if you hated these movies since day one, okay, it's not for you. But anyone else, you will definitely enjoy this one. And a lot more than all the surface level movies recently. You will enjoy it, and you'll feel it. You will feel the emotion, and a lot of you, if you're more emotional than me, you're probably going to cry in this movie. So I hope I've informed your decision to go see this. I really hope that you do go see it. If you do, please come back to this video and comment what you thought about these movies. And I will take that care with you. I will come have those discussions with you. And I want to see what you thought. So, like, tell me if I was right about the movie. Tell me if I was wrong. I bet that most of you say I was right, and that you're glad you went to see it, because I feel if we get more of these movies, it is a step. Here's the thing, it's a step forward, but it's a step backwards towards what we used to have, because the recent content has been so dry. But a step backwards is definitely a step forward in these days. So let me know what you think. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope it has been informative. It's coming out this weekend, so please go see it. I've been Ahmed. This is Subtle. Thanks for watching.